بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we are able to have our session on divine justice from Mashhad, and I hope that inshallah this session would be blessed inshallah and useful. As you remember, the last point we discussed was about the people who are called mustad'af or murjaun al-amrillah, and we discussed their situation and the possibility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would treat them with great favor and mercy. With mustad'afin, this seems to be confirmed. With murjaun al-amrillah, it's left to Allah, but it seems very likely and they should be hopeful. Now the topic is the viewpoint of Muslim philosophers about this issue. Ayatollah Mutahhari says first we discussed the idea based on the Quran and Hadith. But now let's see what Muslim philosophers have said, and in particular we refer to Avicenna and Mullah Sadra. Avicenna has a very important statement in his book Al-Isharatu wa Tanbihat. In the 7th namat or section of Al-Isharatu wa Tanbihat, he says, in the same way that people with respect to their body and the beauty of body are three groups, with respect to their soul and spirituality are also three groups. For body, we have people who are very beautiful. They are perfect in their body, whether it be about health and beauty. Very, very beautiful. Very, very healthy and fit. We have people who are very, very troubled with their body. For example, they have serious problem with their body or with their appearance. They're not beautiful, they're ugly. And we have people who are in between. They are not most beautiful, but they are not also ugly. They are not most healthy, they are not also very ill. In between. And Avicenna says, actually those people who are in between, which are the average, are the majority. The most beautiful ones and the ugliest ones don't form the majority. The majority are in between, the middle group. He says the same thing is true about soul and spirituality and beauty of the soul. There are people who are very interested in truth. Again, you see the idea of truthfulness present here. You remember we said truthfulness is the most important thing in our understanding. This is also a philosophical confirmation of that. He says there are people who are really eager and thirsty for truth. And there are people who are hostile towards the truth. And there is an average, a middle group who are not very thirsty for truth, but who are not also enemy of the truth. And he says these are the majority of people. And he says these are the people who have not discovered the truth, but if the truth is presented to them, they would not refuse to accept. So, for a philosopher like Avicenna, the majority of people are the people who are not against the truth, and they would accept the truth if it's presented to them, but they are not very thirsty for truth. They are not looking for it everywhere. They are not struggling to find the truth, but they are not also against the truth. So, Ayatollah Mutahhari says, we can say, according to Avicenna, very important point. According to Avicenna, although these people cannot be classified legally from fiqh point of view as Muslims, but with respect to the truth, they are Muslim because they accept the truth if they find it. They accept the truth if it is presented to them. They are not hostile towards the truth. Then Avicenna says something very beautiful. Very beautiful. He says, وَاسْتَوْسِعْ رَحْمَةَ اللَّهِ. وَاسْتَوْسِعْ رَحْمَةَ اللَّهِ. One of the meanings of Bab Istif'al, as you know, is to find the object with certain quality. For example, ista'zamahu means he found him great. Istad'afa also sometimes means to find him weak. Sometimes means to make someone weak, but sometimes means to find him weak. He says, when it comes to the mercy of Allah, you must consider it as great, as inclusive. Wus'a means inclusiveness. So don't consider mercy of Allah as something very little or very limited, and don't narrow it. Mercy of Allah is great, and you should also acknowledge its greatness. وَاسْتَوْسِعْ رَحْمَةَ اللَّهِ. So those people who say, apart from a little group, everyone else goes to hell, only some people go to heaven and everyone else goes to hell, according to Avicenna, they have underestimated greatness of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Mullah Sadra, in his famous book Al-Aswar, which is a very important book on transcendent philosophy, he has a discussion about khair and shar, good and evil. And there he says, if someone asks a question, a kind of objection, and then of course he gives the answer, but first look at the objection or question. If someone says, how you believe that good overweighs and is dominant over shar, over badness or evil, you say this world is more filled with goodness than badness, while when we look at human beings who are the best of creatures, at least potentially, I say potentially, but they say he's the best, but we said that it's not necessarily the best for every human being, but they have the potential to be the best, but the creation is the best, not every individual. Anyway, why you say goodness overweighs evil in the world, while human beings who are very special and can be the best of creatures, when you look at their situation, you find they have lots of bad actions, lots of false aqaid, and therefore many of them, they don't have happiness in akhirah. Many of them deserve punishment. So if this is the case with human beings, that most of them are not going to go to heaven, how can then you say the whole world is the world in which goodness prevails? Okay? Who says this? Yeah, Mullah Sadra, but he's asking. Yeah, he's raising a question. He says, if someone asks this question, he tries to anticipate this question. And then he gives the answer. He says, referring to the idea of Avicenna, he says something similar to Avicenna. He says, people of the hereafter, with respect to their prosperity and happiness, are like people of this world with respect to their health and beauty. In the same way that people who have problem with their beauty and health, or people who are extremely beautiful and healthy, are not the majority, in the hereafter also, the people who are not the best, the purest, and the people who are vicious are not the majority. And there is an average which is majority. And these people would have still happiness and salvation. And then Mullah Sadra tries to use two Quranic terms to refer to the best and the average, which are good but not the best. He says when the Quran says as-sabiqun, you know in Surah Waqi'ah, Allah says as-sabiqun, as-sabiqun, ulaika al-muqarrabun, those who precede others, these are like the most beautiful people in dunya, the highest group, but these are not majority. Okay? As-sabiqun are not majority. Then we have Ashabul Yamin and Ashabul Shamal. Ashabul Shamal are vicious people who are the lowest group. So As-Sabiqun on the top, Ashabul Shamal in the bottom. In between we have Ashabul Yamin, the people of the right side or right hand. And these are the average. So Mullah Sadra believes Ashabul Yamin are the majority. And these are the people who are not perfect. They have issues, they have shortcomings, but still they have prosperity and the happiness in the hereafter. And then he says a very important statement. He says, فَلِأَهْلِ الرَّحْمَةِ وَالسَّلَامَةِ غَلَبَةٌ فِي النَّشْأَتَيْنِ. فَلِأَهْلِ الرَّحْمَةِ وَالسَّلَامَةِ غَلَبَةٌ فِي النَّشْأَتَيْنِ. For the people of mercy and salama, means health, safety, there is ghalaba, means they have majority in both worlds. في النشأتين, نشأة الأولى, نشأة الدنيا, and also نشأة الآخرة. So whether it be in dunya or akhirah, the people who receive rahmah and have salama, have safety, health, are majority. This is a very important idea that Ibn Sina and Mullah Sadra both have mentioned. One of our contemporary scholars who was a teacher of philosophy and also a poet, a mystic, and he has translated also Quran and Mafatih into Farsi, is the late Muhammad Reza Elahi Qomshei. He has a beautiful poem in which he mentions the idea of philosophers and also mystics about the great spectrum of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I mentioned only some of it. He says, از رحمت آمدند و به رحمت روند خلق. People have come from mercy. It's mercy of Allah that has created them, and they are heading towards mercy. It's not only few pious people. Great majority of people would have salvation. از رحمت آمدند و به رحمت روند خلق. People have come from mercy and are going towards mercy. این است سر عشق که حیران کند عقول. This is the secret of love that would perplex intellects. How Allah has showed His love to us. خلقان همه به فطرت توحید زاده اند. All people are created with the fitra of Tawheed, means their innate nature is based on Tawheed. Every person. این شرک عارضی بود و عارضی یزول. Shirk is accidental. Their nature is not mushrik. Their nature is muwahhid. Shirk is accidental. And anything which is accidental would expire. So, Muslim philosophers, mystics have the idea that rahmah of Allah includes majority of people in dunya and akhirah. Of course, even the others have received rahmah of Allah, but we mean rahmah in the form of happiness and felicity. Ayatollah Mutahhari says Muslim philosophers want to say, although those who embrace Islam or embrace faith might be not majority, but there are people who have Islam in their fitrah, and these are the majority, and they will be resurrected with this Islam in their fitrah. So many people who are not believers in dunya in the way that we expect, in the akhirah they may be resurrected as believers. Then Ayatollah Mutahhari says, according to these philosophers, then there is a new interpretation of the verses of Shafa'ah. You know, the verses of Shafa'ah says the only people that receive Shafa'ah are the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with their religion. لَمَنْ ارْتَضَى, the people that are pleased, Allah is pleased with them, they are pleasing Allah. He says, according to Muslim philosophers, the people who receive shafa'ah because their religion is satisfactory, this is not the formal religion that they believe right now and they declare necessarily. It can be that. It can be also deen fitri, their natural orientation and inclination towards the truth, towards religion. Although in dunya maybe they were not able to develop it, articulate it, and consciously express it, but they have this religion in their fitrah. So this is a very important point. The next issue is about sins of Muslims. The question is, if Muslims commit sins or if Shia commit sins, what happens? There is a misconception that some people think just because they are Muslims or because they are Shia, their sins would not be leading towards punishment. They are not questioned. For example, some people say, if our sins and sins of those who are not from us, those who don't believe, if our sins and their sins are going to be questioned, so what's the point? What's the difference between a believer and non-believer, between a Muslim and non-Muslim, or between a Shia and non-Shia? They think they are Muslim or they are Shia, and their treatment should be different. Otherwise, what's the point? Or they quote a hadith which says, حب علي بن أبي طالب حسنة لا تضر معها سيئة. Love of Ali means love for Ali ibn Abi Talib is a hasana, is a good deed, that with that no sin would harm. لا تضر معها سيئة. So they say, according to this hadith, if you believe in Ali ibn Abi Talib, if you are his Shia, then your sins would not be harming you. So this is what some people say. Ayatollah Mutahhari says, with respect to the first thing, that what's the difference between a Shia or non-Shia, or believer or non-believer, he says the difference is not in name. The difference has to have a reality, not a name or claim. If you have accepted and acted upon the plan for life which prophets and imams have presented, then you are their followers. Then you would be different from those who don't believe, because they have not acted upon them. But if you don't act upon them and others also don't act upon them, just because your name is a Shia or Muslim, it's not making a difference. He says it's like two people who are ill. They need to be seen by a doctor. One of them goes to a very good doctor, experienced and clever and insightful. One goes to a doctor which has no experience and not clever and no success. Okay, so there are two people and there are two doctors. Is it enough that the one who goes to the good doctor, he says, I chose the good doctor and I go to him, but I don't take his prescription. I act like the other one. You are in a way insulting that doctor. That you say, I come to you, but I don't take your prescription. So, it's not enough to say we follow Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam just verbally and then we don't act according to their instructions. A person went to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He was a companion of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He said, some of your Shia have deviated. They have considered some of the haram things as halal. Means they have permitted some of the harams. And they say religion is only to know Imam. If you know Imam, that's enough. Look at the answer of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Did Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, okay, because they believe in us, they know us, it's enough? No problem? No. Actually, according to this hadith, Imam Baqir alayhi salam, after hearing this, said, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. This is the ayah that we normally say when a calamity happens. If someone has died and we hear, or a calamity has happened, like when they informed Imam Hussein alayhi salam about Yazid becoming the Khalifa, he said, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So Imam Sadiq, upon hearing this, said, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. These kuffar, these people who don't believe, they have used their own opinion to interpret Islam. What is true is you must have ma'rifah, and then after having ma'rifah, do whatever you want. Means whatever you want from acts of obedience, because this would be accepted. They thought, we mean have ma'rifah and do whatever you want. It means even sins. The idea is you should have ma'rifah and then you act hasanat, and your hasanat inshallah would be accepted. Not that you commit sins. A person asked Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, is it true that you said, إِذَا عَرَفْتَ فَعْمَلْ مَا شِئْتَ? Similar thing. Is it true that you said, if you have ma'rifah, if you have known, do whatever you want? Imam said, yes. I said this, إِذَا عَرَفْتَ فَعْمَلْ مَا شِئْتَ. Then he said, anything. He said anything, even na'uzu billah, adultery, theft, drinking khamr. Imam said again, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. They have not been fair with us. We ourselves are going to be questioned. How then the Shia would have no taklif, no obligation? What I meant was, when you know Imam, you have ma'rifah of Imam, then do as much as you can good things, hasanat, and inshallah would be accepted. Not that do sins. So what's the meaning of then that hadith, Hubbu Aliyin, Hubbu Ali ibn Abi Talib, Hasanatun la tadurru ma'aha sayya'ah. Love for Ali is a hasana that no sin would harm with that. Ayatollah Mutahhari says, one of our ulama, presumably Ayatollah Wahid Behbahani, he has a good interpretation. He says, the meaning of this hadith is, if someone is a true lover of Ali ibn Abi Talib, if someone genuinely loves Ali ibn Abi Talib, who was an example of piety and obedience to Allah and moral excellence, if someone truly, genuinely loves Ali ibn Abi Talib, who was example for obedience and piety, this love would not let sins come to him, happen to him. It's like immunization. No sin can harm him because he is protected against sins. Not that he becomes sinful and says, I am not harmed by sins. This is a big misunderstanding. If someone knows Amirul Mu'mineen and how much he was praying, how much he was crying, how much he was involved in obedience, acts of ta'ah, and he says, I am a follower of Ali, I love Ali, but then he acts like his enemies. He doesn't say prayer, he doesn't refrain from haram. Then he says, Hubbu aliyan hasanatun la tazuru ma'aha sayya. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, in something which has become like a poem, ta'asil ilaha wa anta tudhiru hubbahu hadha la'amri fil fi'al badi'u law kana hubbuka sadiqan la'ata'tahu innal muhibba liman yuhibbu muti'u. You commit sins, you disobey Allah, and you say, I love Allah. This is strange. If your hope is true, you would have obeyed Allah, because a lover would obey his beloved. If you love Allah, you obey him. If you love Amirul Mu'mineen, you obey him. Imam Baqir alayhi salam said, Ma tunalu wilayatuna illa bil amali wal wara'. Our wilaya would not be reached except with practice and taqwa and wara', piety. There is a beautiful story, you might have heard this story, about Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. The narrator is Tawus Yamani. He says, I saw Ali ibn al-Hussein alayhi salam that from the time of the Isha till Sahar, dawn, he was doing tawaf around Kaaba and doing ibadah. When Masjid al-Haram became less crowded, he looked at the sky and said to Allah, Oh Allah, stars have disappeared and people have gone to sleep. Now this is the time that your doors are open for those who ask you. And then he says, Imam alayhi salam was whispering to Allah, was crying. Then he went to sajda. He says, I went close to Imam and raised his head and cried. Imam alayhi salam said, who is the one who has stopped me from talking to my Lord? I said, I am Tawus, O son of the Prophet. Why you are crying and lamenting? We sinful people should do this. You are the son of Hussein ibn Ali. Your mother is Lady Fatima. Your grandfather is Rasulullah. With such a great genealogy that you have, why you are worried? We should be worried. Imam Zainul Abidin said, Hayhat, Hayhat ya Tawus. O Tawus, it's not like the way you say. Da'anni hadith abi wa ummi wa jaddi. Don't tell me about my father and mother and grandfather. Don't tell me that because of them I will be guaranteed happiness. Khalaqallahu al-jannata liman ata'ahu wa ahsana ولو كان عبدا حبشيا وخلق النار لمن عصاه ولو كان ولدا قرشيا. Allah has created heaven for those who obey him and do good things, even if he's a servant, if he's a slave from Ethiopia. He goes to heaven if he has obedience and good action. Allah has created fire for those who disobey him, even if they are from Quraysh. أما سمعت قوله تعالى, have you not heard the saying of Allah, فإذا نفخ في الصور فلا أنصاب بينهم يومئذ ولا يتساءلون. When it's blown into the trumpet, no nasab, no blood relation would count. You cannot say, because I am Sayyid, because my father or mother or grandfather or grandmother were good people, I should be let to be with them, I should be treated like them. Wallahi, la yanfa'uka ghadan illa taqdimatun tuqaddimuha min amalin salih. By Allah, nothing would help you tomorrow, means the hereafter, except those righteous deeds that you send in advance. Imam doesn't need to swear, doesn't need to have qasam, but still he says, Wallahi, la yanfa'uka ghadan illa taqdimatun tuqaddimuha min amalin salih. It's only your righteous deed that would benefit you, not righteous deed of someone else. After the conquest of Mecca, Rasulullah went on the top of the Mount Safa and he said, O son of Hashim, O sons of Abdul Muttalib, and they all gathered. Then he said, Inni Rasulullah ilaykum, Inni la shafiqun alaykum. I am messenger of God for you, and I am concerned for you. La taqulu inna Muhammadan minna. Don't say Prophet is from us, then we are okay, because you are my uncles or cousins or nephews. فَوَاللَّهِ مَا أَوْلِيَائِ مِنْكُمْ وَلَا مِنْ غَيْرِكُمْ إِلَّا الْمُتَّقُونَ. By Allah, my awliya, those who have relation of wilayah with me, you can say friends, but it's more than friends. My followers, the people who are with me, whether it be you or others, are not except muttaqun. If you are muttaqi, you are with me, even if you are not related to me by blood. If you are not muttaqi, you are not with me, even if you are related to me with blood. فَلَا أَعْرِفُكُمْ تَأْتُونِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ تَحْمِلُونَ الدُّنْيَا عَلَى رِقَابِكُمْ وَيَأْتِ النَّاسِ يَحْمِلُونَ الْآخِرَةِ. I don't want to see you on the day of judgment coming to me with dunya. You have only accumulated dunya, and other people come while they have worked for akhirah. You are empty-handed, you have nothing for akhirah, and other people have worked for akhirah, they have lots of things. ألا وإني قد أعذرت فيما بيني وبينكم وفيما بين الله عز وجل وبينكم. I have left no excuse for you, between me and you, and between you and Allah. I made it clear. No one can say I didn't know. وَإِنَّ لِي عَمَلِي وَلَكُمْ عَمَلُكُمْ. What is for me is my action, What is for you is your action. My actions would not help you, and your actions is not registered in my name. So everyone should work hard. Ayatollah Mutahhari says in historical books we find a beautiful story. Towards the end of his life, Rasulullah once, it's of course maybe he did this many times, but this is the historical report. One night he came out, went to Baqi cemetery, started doing istighfar for the people who are buried there, and then he said to his companions, Jibreel, every year presents the entire Quran to me. Because you know Quran has nuzul daf'i and nuzul tadriji. Gradual revelation took 23 years. But Quran also was revealed altogether on occasions. So Rasulullah says every year Gabriel used to present the entire Quran to me once. But this year he has presented to me twice. So I think my death is near. This was in the night. The next day he went to Member and said, my death is near. Whoever I have promised something should come so that I give what I have promised. Whoever has some right over me, if I owe someone something, should come so that I give. Then he said, Ayyuhan nas, innahu laysa bayna Allah wa bayna ahadin nasabun, wala amrun yu'tihi bihi khayra aw yasrafu anhu sharra illa al-amal. O people, there is no family relation between God and anyone, or there is nothing that Allah, because of that, would necessarily give you good or remove bad things from you, except amal. The only thing is your action, your performance. And then he says, ألا لا يدعين مدع ولا يتمنين متمنٍ. No one should claim false claim. No one should just desire something which is not going to happen. وَالَّذِي بَعَثَنِي بِالْحَقِّ لَا يُنْجِي إِلَّا عَمَلٌ مَعَ رَحْمَةٍ. Very beautiful. By the one who has raised me truthfully as a prophet, nothing saves except action with rahmah. Even our actions are not enough. We need mercy of Allah. We need rahmah of Allah. But we need also action so that we receive mercy. لا ينجي إلا عمل مع رحمة ولو عصيت لهويت. Even if I commit sin, I will be dropped. I will be destroyed. Rasulullah says, even if I commit sins, I will be destroyed. Allahumma qad ballaghtu. Oh Allah, you be witness that I have delivered this message. There is a story about Imam Reza alayhi salam. And now from Mashhad, it's interesting to mention this story of Imam Reza. Imam Reza alayhi salam had a brother called Zaydun Nar. And he was not very much pleasing Imam. His behavior was not meeting expectations of Imam. When Imam was in Marv in Khurasan, there was a gathering and there were people, and Zayd also was there. When Imam was talking, he realized that Zayd is talking to some people and keeps saying, Nahnu, Nahnu, we are like this, talking about Prophet and Ahlul Bayt. But he was always say we. Imam alayhi salam told him, what are these things that you are saying? If your idea is correct, with what you say is true, and the children of the Prophet has a special privilege, and God is not going to punish those of them who are sinful, then you are better than Musa ibn Ja'far, your father. Because your father obeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala till reached the nearness to Allah. And now you, without ibadah, you want to reach nearness of. So you can be in the position of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far without ta'ah. Then Imam looked at someone who was from Kufa, Hassan ibn Musa al-Washsha. He was a scholar from Kufa and present in that meeting. Imam Reza alayhi salam was aware that people of Kufa have misunderstanding of this ayah about son of Nuh. You know, when son of Nuh was droning because he didn't listen to his father's offer, Nuh alayhi salam said, Rabbi inna ibni min ahli wa inna wa'daka al-haq. My Lord, my son is from me and your promise is true. So you had promised to save my people, my ahl, my family. Why my son is droning? Very politely, he wanted to ask this question. But in a sense, this question was a kind of also surprise or criticism. So, Imam Reza alayhi salam knew that some scholars in Kufa had misunderstood this ayah. And he wanted to clarify that. So he told Hassan ibn Musa al-Washsha from Kufa, how do Kufa scholars read this ayah? قال يا نوح إنه ليس من أهلك إنه عمل غير صالح. This is the way we read. Okay? So Imam said how they read. He said they say إنه عمل غير صالح. Do you understand the difference? We say he is not from your family, he is a vicious act. عمل غير صالح. It's صفة موصوف. But in Kufa they read إنه عمل غير صالح مضافا مضاف إليه, means that he is a son of a vicious person. Means he is an illegitimate son. عمل غير صالح means a rajul, a man who is not saleh, has produced this son. He is not your son. Imam Reza alayhi salam said, no, this is not right. This is not the way to read the ayah and interpret the ayah. He was legitimate son of Nuh. He was really son of Nuh from blood point of view. But because he himself was not righteous, Allah said he is not counted as your family. So a son of Imam, a Sayyid, a son of Imam, a son of Prophet like Nuh is not guaranteed to go to heaven. It should be his actions and performance which determine where to go. Then he has a discussion about difference between two types of conditions. He says sometimes conditions are based on our decision, based on contract or agreement or a law that we pass. But sometimes conditions are real. Very beautiful example. Please pay attention. Very beautiful example. He says, for example, you want to be employed in an office. They say one condition for employment is that you should have citizenship of this country. So if you have all the qualifications and experience, but you don't have citizenship, they don't give you this job. So you can apply for citizenship, and after you get the citizenship, you can be employed. What has changed? Something really has changed. You have become a different person. Your capabilities have increased. No. It was a legal requirement, and that legal requirement had to be met. But nothing in your reality and character has changed. Is it clear? He says, but going to heaven is not like this. It's not that you can just change your documents or apply for a name of Muslim or Shia or Mu'min and say, we can sort out the problem. The qualifications which are needed are real. You have to become a real Mu'min. It's not just based on agreement and legal requirements. If you follow a true leader, you are with him. If you follow a false leader or bad leader, you are with him. No matter what you call yourself. No matter what blood relation you have. Quran says, فَمَنْ تَبِعَنِي فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي. Surah Ibrahim, verse 36. Whoever follows me, he is from me. إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. The most honorable of you in the sight of Allah are those who are most pious. Rasulullah said, أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ إِنَّ أَبَاكُمْ وَاحِدٌ وَإِنَّ رَبَّكُمْ وَاحِدٌ كُلُّكُمْ لِآدَمْ وَآدَمُ مِنْ تُرَابٍ. O people, your father is the same. Your Lord is the same. You are all from Adam, and Adam was from soil. لا فخر لعربي على عجمي إلا بالتقوى. There is no privilege for Arabs over non-Arabs except with taqwa. If someone has taqwa, that's the main thing. Otherwise, ethnicity or race would not give you a special privilege. Rasulullah said, Salman minna ahl al-bayt. Salman was not an Arab or Sayyid, but Rasulullah said he was from us. He says some people have this false idea that they say, when we die, we give lots of money to be buried in a shrine or in a holy place. And then because of the personality who is also buried there, we will not be punished. They think just by being buried in a holy place, they will be saved from punishment. But Ayatollah Mutahhari says this is all ignorance and confusion, and this is not going to help. You know, Harun al-Rashid is buried next to Imam Reza alayhi salam. Is this going to help him? So, the main thing is our own performance, our similarity with our role models. Then he mentions some hadith that he says, I hope this hadith would awaken us and help us prepare for our journey. So these are good hadiths for Mu'izah. One hadith is from Sheikh Kulaini in Kafi, and Sheikh Abbas Qummi has also mentioned this hadith in his book Manazil al-Akhirah. Hadith is from Imam Sadiq. It's about Imam Ali alayhi salam, who had pain in his eye. Rasulullah went to see Imam Ali in that illness, and Imam Ali was in great pain. Rasulullah asked Imam Ali alayhi salam why he is restless, or he's in pain. Amir al-Mu'minin, according to this hadith, said, I have never had a pain like this before. Then Rasulullah mentioned the difficulty of taking the soul of kafir. When a kafir's life is taken, soul is taken, it's very, very difficult. And when Rasulullah explained this, Imam Ali salam stood up, and because he was lying down, and sat and said, please repeat this hadith because I forgot my pain. Then he asked Rasulullah, please listen carefully. This was about the painful experience of kafir when his soul is taken. Amir al-Mu'minin said, Ya Rasulullah, is anyone from your ummah whose soul also would be taken in a similar way? Rasulullah said, yes. A ruler who does injustice, a person who misappropriates the money of orphans, and the one who gives a false witness and testimony. So even if they are Muslims, their soul will be taken like kafir. And kafir means bad kafir, not anyone who is not believer. It means people who have rejected the truth. When Abu Zar's son, who was called Zar, Abu Zar is the father of Zar, so his son was called Zar. When Zar died, Abu Zar went next to the grave of his son and put his hand on the grave of his son. He said, may Allah have mercy on you. By Allah, you were kind to me, and I am pleased with you. What makes me concerned now is not that I have lost you. I have not lost anything because I only need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My pain, my sorrow, my concern is because of thinking of your condition. He says, had it not been that I have a fear of not being, for example, prepared, I would have wished to die instead of you. But I want to continue my life so that I can compensate what I have missed and be prepared. And he says, I wish I knew what was your answer to the angels, what you were told. O Allah, whatever rights I had over my son, I forgave him. So please, you also forgave and exempt him. You are more entitled to be generous than me. So, as a conclusion, and the book is coming to end, he makes few points. He says, happiness and lack of happiness have different levels. It's not that all who have happiness and felicity are in the same rank and level, or those who lack it would be in the same position. This is what we sometimes mentioned as ranks of heaven or hell. So it's not that people who go to hell or heaven are in the same position. And also it's not that who go to heaven, all of them necessarily go from the beginning. So some people may go to heaven from the beginning, some people may go to hell and then they go to heaven. So those who go to hell are not all of them there permanently. But those who go to heaven will be there permanently. So it's possible that a Muslim or a Shia, a believer, because of their sins, might be punished in dunya or time of death or barzakh or have difficulties on the day of judgment, but they go finally to heaven, or even they may go to hell for some time, then they finally go to heaven if they die with Iman. Those who do not believe in God and the hereafter, and they don't do anything in order to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so they are not moving towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those who believe in Allah and the hereafter and do things in order to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and have sincerity, they deserve heaven, whether they are Muslims or non-Muslims. Point 5, non-Muslims who believe in God and the hereafter and they do good things sincerely, then because they don't act according to the plan of Islam, so they don't get all the benefit. But still their good actions would be accepted because they can have good actions which comply with the plan of God, with the prescriptions of God. Like doing ihsan, charitable work, benevolent work. Then point 6 is a good action which is accepted, whether it's done by Muslim or non-Muslim, might become then subject to problems that may damage it. One is rejecting the truth, arrogance, lacking fairness. So these actions, good actions, can be affected by these problems. We had discussion about this before. Then Muslims or other believers in Tawheed, monotheism, if they become sinful and betray Allah's religion, they also deserve punishment. So they cannot say because we are Muslim or believer in God, we would do everything and we will not be punished. For example, it's even likely that because of some great sins, they might permanently be in hell, even if they are themselves believer. Like if you kill a believer deliberately, من قتل مؤمنا متعمدا فجزاؤه جهنم خالدا. Point 8. Good actions of the people who have no faith in God and the hereafter, or they associate partners to God, if they have genuine good actions, it would be still taken into account. It may reduce their punishment or stop their punishment. Point 9. Happiness or lack of happiness in the hereafter are based on real conditions. Those conditions are not based on our contracts or decisions. They are real. It's not like something that you can change the law or you can make a new contract. Point 10. Those actions that have husn fi'li and husn fa'ili are considered as amal saleh, righteous deed, and are accepted. So husn fi'li, goodness of the action, and husn fa'ili, goodness of the agent, both are needed. Point 11. Those verses and hadiths that indicate the actions of those who deny nubuwwah or imamah are not accepted, should be understood that they refer to the people who have biasness against the truth, those who reject the truth, not those who have not found and discovered the truth. Such people who have not found out the truth are mustad'af or murjaun al-amrillah. Point 12, according to Muslim philosophers like Avicenna and Sadrul Muta'allihin, the majority of the people who may not know the truth, but they are qasir, not muqassir. They are not guilty. They are not against or hostile towards the truth. So even if they don't believe in God, they would not be punished. Of course, if they are going to be resurrected as believers, they may go to heaven. If they are not resurrected as believers, they don't go to heaven, but they will not be punished because they have excuse. They didn't know. And if they believe in God and the hereafter and have righteous deeds, their reward will be given. The only people who would be suffering are the people who are muqassir, not qasir. Those who are guilty, not just ignorant. So, alhamdulillah, in this way, the book Divine Justice finishes. As you see, this book is a great book. So many ideas are there. And as I said, perhaps this is one of the best books written for public by our scholars in the whole century. So we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the blessing of studying this book together. We ask Allah to raise and bless the soul of Ayatollah Mutahhari and all our ulama and resurrect them with Muhammad and Ala Muhammad. And we ask Allah to include us among true seekers of knowledge, inshallah. So there is a dua that Ayatollah Mutahhari has put at the end, and I read that dua, and you say Ameen. Allahumma khtim lana bil khayr wa sa'adah wa tawaffana muslimin wa alhiqna bis salihin bi Muhammadin wa alihi tahirin. Oh Allah, please end our life with goodness and felicity, and take our soul as people who are submissive to you, and enable us to join the righteous servants of you, by Muhammadin wa alihi tahirin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allah